Yes, it says I'm live. Woo, yay, live. Sorry, I'm trying to get my thing to pop out so I can see what you're saying, but it's not popping out. That's weird. Episode 110. Why is it not doing that? That's weird. Anyway, episode 110. How's everyone doing tonight? Um, I don't know if my live chat's here or not. I don't know where it went to. Maybe it's down there. I don't know. If I can't see the live chat, maybe it's because it popped out somewhere else. I don't know. I can't tell. I'm completely at a loss for words. So, there it is. How's everyone this evening? It's Thursday. God, this week went so fast. I guess that's the price of having fun, right? Yes, Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday, right? Wow, crazy. Episode 110, September the 18th. All these things happened on September the 18th in history in the past. I have pictures from See Here and Now. The problem is that as I literally was getting ready to start, my computer said, I'm updating, and it crashed, and all my set lists that were up and everything else, I now have to redo. So that's just shitty. shitty. Yeah, I don't know if my if whoever's watching, type something in the chat just so I can see that it's working, because I don't know if it is or not. It may have shrunk. It's below where I can see it. Up there it is. Yep, that's why. I see it. Don, it's you. Oh, wow. Hello, Don. Of all the people that's there, that's hilarious. Now I can't see what I was doing. I gotta go find the stupid. Hang on, it's here somewhere. There it is. Okay, I'm back. Ta-da! Aloha, Don. There you go. Wow. There you go. All right. Yeah, I couldn't see the chat. All right. So, lots of stuff. Like two solid pages of things. I had a little time, so I just fell down some rabbit holes. So today, on this date, so this must be a big, when TV was big, this must have been one of those premiere days, because a lot of TV shows back in the 60s and 70s started on this day. I'm sure it's going to be coming up, but a lot of them happened. So I guess it's like the fall lineup, the kickoff for a lot of shows. So I have a lot of TV shows that kicked off because they had something to connect it to music. You'll see why. So 1978, we'll start it with. CBS Television debuts a new TV show on September the 18th. It takes place in Cincinnati, Ohio, and it follows the antics of a small radio station that switches formats from easy listening to rock and roll. It lasts for 4 seasons, and it enjoys support from real radio professionals who find the recognizable, quirky characters, which includes the somewhat incompetent general manager, myself would be, the disheveled and somewhat disorganized morning DJ, which would be Brian Phillips, and of course the the nerdy news hound, as well as the car sales manager. On this day, WKRP in Cincinnati debuted. There was many parallels to that show as us, except we never dropped turkeys out of a helicopter, because by God, I thought they could fly. The turkey trot of WKRP in Cincinnati. I have that mug if it didn't get stolen in my office. I don't know. Everything else got stolen or broken. I don't know. It's just a mess. But anyway, yes. So WKRP in Cincinnati debuted on this day in 1978. It was around for 4 seasons. If you buy, what's funny is I have the DVD collection. The music isn't the same. They couldn't clear all of the music copyright and not have to pay an arm and a leg. So if you buy the DVD box set of WKRP in Cincinnati, it's not the original music, which is kind of weird, but they couldn't get clearance for all the songs because it would have cost them an absolute shit ton of money. That's at least what I was told. So that's what I'm telling you. If I'm wrong, well, then I'm wrong. But I don't think it's not true. Also on this day, in 1964, the Addams Family previews. That was on ABC, and it ran for only 2 seasons, but it has lasting impressions 60 years later. Wednesday is a TV show I just started watching on Hulu or Apple or something, which is okay. It's kind of not horrible as series goes. But The Addams Family, again, it was a cartoon. It only ran for 2 seasons from 64 to 66. 1992, there was a cartoon, and 1977, there was a Halloween special. 1972, there was a Saturday morning cartoon. 1992, there was an animated series. 1998, there was a revival. And 1998 to 2000, there was the new Addams Family. So even though it only had 2 seasons, it lasted for decades because people found solace in this gothic kind of weird family that, well, people came to see them. The house was like a museum. They were creepy and they're spooky. But while they thought they were normal, everybody else was the normal people. But while all the shenanigans happened, they never seemed to be fazed by much of anything. So it just seems to have hit a nerve in our American psyche that people seem to like that gothic kind of, they're just misfits that fit in really well. It should be a National WKRP Day. I agree. I'm there. I could do that. I could get behind that. Also, 1965, Get Smart was released on this day. That lasted 5 seasons. And it had such great catchphrases as, missed it by that much. There was a couple other ones. Something about Chief, because the Chief in 99. The Cone of Silence and others. Also, I Dream of Jeannie was debuted on this day in 1965. So again, I was like, wow, that's just a bunch of these TV shows in the 60s were all debuted on this day, and 70s obviously. There were some other ones where I didn't care, but I guess it must be because it's the fall lineup when TV had fall lineups, and they just released stuff for the fall. 1983. Remember, none of this is in order because I'm going to jump from decade to decade historically because certain things are TV, some are radio, some are albums, some are singles, some are Billboard, some are Rolling Stone. So it goes the gambit of things. So that you have to kind of bear with. Okay. In 1983, Kiss did their first Unmasked on MTV. It was an interview that they did. It was the first time they did it, and people were just like weirded out, I guess. Like, this is what Kiss actually looks like. They're not that handsome. That's why they wear makeup. 1987, Fatal Attraction with Glenn Close was released on this day. Also, on this day, Jackie Chan's Hollywood breakthrough came in the movie Rush Hour with him and Chris Tucker. It was released on this day. Jackie Chan got a bunch of success before that, but never really commercial success as the martial artist that he was. In 1979, The Who played the first of 5 concerts at Madison Square Garden in New York City. Now, if you've ever been to Madison Square Garden, it's round, actually. It's not square. The building itself is round. It's right at Penn Station, so you get out of the train station, it's right above it. So it's right there. So it's always chaotic and always hectic. I think I saw them in that tour in 79. I think I was at one of those shows. In 1970, Black Sabbath released their second LP, Paranoid, on this day. In 2001, Wilco released their 4th album, Yankee Hotel Foxtrot. I was just listening to a little Wilco before we started, but I don't play the music because copyrights, you know how that goes. 1985, The Replacements had their 4th album, Tim. 4th LP, Tim, was there. 1967, The Who also released their biggest single ever in the U.S. with I Can See for Miles. Also on this day in 1995, Oasis released Morning Glory from their 2nd LP. And this was actually the sort of biggest radio, that's when they sort of got a lot of popularity because radio played that in the U.S. It was already released as a single in the UK, Japan, and Netherlands and Australia, but it was more so released as a radio-friendly tune where it really started to get its traction in America. Also, on 1976, on this day, Boston, the band Boston, released More Than a Feeling from their debut album, and it is credited as one of their biggest songs ever from that. And it's sort of this rock anthem that you all know. And there'll be a few more that I'm going to talk about that are what we know. 1983, Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell 2 went to number one in the UK for the first of 5 times. So basically, they're number one, they drop out of the number one slot, something else slots in, then they drop back down a little bit, but then they come back up again. So 5 times, Bat Out of Hell became number one in the UK. In 2006, Ian McCulloch of Echo and the Bunnymen is convicted of breach of the peace. I had to go find exactly what this meant. So apparently he lost his cool, yelled and screamed, and caused a whole big ruckus at this Glasgow festival when he found 2 fans in his private bathroom. Didn't say what they were doing, but you can only imagine what they were doing in his private bathroom. So I guess basically he lost his shit, and he got convicted of losing his shit because he was so like loud and boisterous and violent about it. He didn't assault them, but I guess yelling and screaming got taken to the next level for the breach of the peace. In 2006, Willie Nelson, who was 73 at the time, he's 92 now and still performing. He just performed a concert like 4 days ago. 92. You got to give the man props. Good genes for that. But anyway, in 2006, at the age of 73, Willie Nelson and 4 of his band members were charged with possession when his tour bus was stopped down near Louisiana. And when they searched the bus, they found weed and shrooms. Good old Willie's band, and Willie at 73 still getting high and taking mushrooms. I'm betting at 92 he still gets high and still eats mushrooms. That's why he's still here, because he's Keith Richards. They have the same bloodline. They're vampires, and they'll just be here forever. Or not. So it's, I think those are some of those artists that, like Tom Petty, it's like, oh, we'll catch him next time. There may not be a next time. So if you want to go see Willie, when he comes by, go see Willie. I did not make it to the David Byrne concert, speaking of, because I did see David Byrne on this tour when it first came out some years back, this same tour, when it was actually in Asbury Park, which I saw the See Here Now festival. Mind blown. I actually saw the very first show of it, and he asked us, please don't take pictures because he's just starting out and blah, blah, blah. I took pictures. Sorry, I did. Sorry. Okay, this one I found to be hilarious, bizarre, and maybe accurate. Okay, so in 2019, the Chinese did a perceptual study of music and driving, like vehicles. And what they came up with is that they said that anything over 120 beats per minute, the BPM, is dangerous. So the example they used was Green Day, American Idiot, and said that that is an unsafe song to listen to while driving because at 189 beats per minute, you become reckless because your mind is listening to the music too fast, and that you'll drive too fast and drive recklessly. What it suggested was to listen to songs, something of the line of Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven, which is only at 68 beats per minute. And they found it to be an acceptable level, well below the threshold of 120 beats per minute as deemed by the Chinese government for driving safely. I'm amused and humored by this, but I find it to be true because we always talked about, in the radio station, we always talk about Friday afternoon, you have to sort of pump up the music. It's, you're hyped to get home from work, and that drive time has to be a much higher level of beats per minute because you want that. You want that people are amped up to get home and the weekend is here, and you have that, that driving force music. And I definitely know from my own experience that listening to mellower music or listening to more chaotic, higher beat music, like listening to Ramones, versus listening to Willie Nelson is going to have an absolute sort of audio effect on how I drive. Sort of Bill Murray in Groundhog Day. Don't drive angry. Don't drive angry. But I just found that really interesting that they did a study on that. I don't know how scientific it is. I mean, I'm sure the Chinese did some reasonable scientific studies for that. But if you think about it, driving at a more reckless speed occurs when you're listening to more chaotic music at a higher beat per minute. Maybe, I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about that next time I'm doing 90 on 71 downtown, along with everybody else that seems to be going at that speed. 2023, Marilyn Manson is sentenced in New Hampshire. And this is Marilyn Manson, of course, for spitting and blowing his nose on a female camera person while filming his show. Like snot rocketing on her, I guess. Just Marilyn Manson. So, so he had to appear in front of the judge, and the judge gave him 20 hours community service and fined him like $1,500 for basically, again, spatting on a female camera person while filming the show in the pit. Only Marilyn Manson, I think. Just, not a great human, but that's Marilyn Manson. Just saying. 1971, The Who had their first and only number one on this day with Who's Next, which was their sixth LP, and it came out with the song Won't Get Fooled Again, which is, again, one of their biggest hits, apparently. Didn't realize that was one of them. In 1976, one-hit wonder Wild Cherry spent 3 weeks at number one in the U.S. singles. I was like, thinking about that for a second. They only hit number 7 in the UK, but one-hit wonder. Do you know what Wild Cherry's one-hit wonder was? Play That Funky Music. So you know exactly what that song is, because the minute you put on, you're like, oh, that one. Play that funky music, white boy. I was like, right, Wild Cherry, one-hit wonder. And I guess it was a B-side as well. So that was most interesting. Enjoyed listening to that a little bit earlier. 1979, the Eagles released Heartache Tonight from the LP The Long Run. And also in 1981, this one I found to be just, again, a little strange. Artists are strange. It was a long story about Gary Newman. And basically, he went to fly around the world in a single-engine Cessna and was forced down over India and then arrested when he landed on suspicion of smuggling and spying. I guess he was a wannabe pilot and a bunch of stuff. It was a very interesting background about Gary Newman. I was reading about it. But I was like, wait, why was he forced down? But yeah, for smuggling and spying, supposedly. He was doing neither of those things, but Gary Newman's kind of a weird dude anyway, so I'm sure that they were just like, you look like a weird dude, bro. We're gonna arrest your ass for that one. All right, so born on this day, Mark Olson of the Jayhawks. I was listening to a little bit of the Jayhawks. We would always play the Jayhawks during the Annie Manathon. One of the songs, "Take Me With You Go," I always really liked that song. There was a bunch of other songs, but they have an Ohio song. But Jayhawks, Mark Olson. Boy, this day, sorry. Still slept like crap last night. Still dealing with the aftermath of not sleeping, worrying about people breaking into the building constantly at this point. So what I realized today is episode 110. And I spoke to the developer today because I was like, when the fuck am I going to be able to get rid of this nightmare and this headache that it has now become? And he said 90 days. So right around episode 200, the air marking of that potentially could be the closing of the property, and I would potentially be done with this. So you have 90 more days of me bitching about what kind of antics and shenanigans and stupid crap is going to be going on with that property. So hold on tight. I believe October 16th is going to be a sale of the contents, whatever's left. Talk to a auction house. So they're going to come and auction the stuff off. So that'll be the day that if you wanted to come down for a live auction, that'll be like everything from the railings to the glass block windows that are engraved with 92.9 logo, to railings that have the 102.5 logo on it. I don't know if I haven't sold them on eBay, because I'm going to start dropping the prices here of what gold records I have left that I'm not going to keep at this point or donate to worthy causes of great places. Anyway, also born on this day, Frankie Avalon. Beach Blanket Bingo, Grease, Frankie Avalon, that guy? Yeah, you remember Frankie Avalon. P.F. Sloan, born on this day. Now, P.F. Sloan's songs were covered. One of them was Eve of Destruction, and the other one is Secret Agent Man. Secret Agent Man, Get Smart. There was the connection there. So, kind of really scrape for these things sometimes. They don't just show up. You got to look. I got to dig a little deeper and be like, oh, okay. But Eve of Destruction, it seemed very relevant. I listened to his version and then one of that version. I was like, wow, that really seems so relevant for today. Just, yeah, holy crap. Carrie Livgren of Kansas, born on today. Dust in the Wind, Kansas, the band, Kansas, not the place, because we've already talked about Boston and Kansas. So we're talking about two cities that are band names. Or actually, Kansas is a state. Sorry. Boston's a city. Kansas is a state. I mean, there's Kansas City, but it's not Kansas City. We're talking about Kansas, the state, which is a long drive if you've ever driven through Kansas. It's about 8 hours. You wake up in Kansas, you're driving through Kansas, you go to sleep in Kansas. Also born on this day, Dee Dee Ramone. I Want to Be Sedated. Just one of those songs that the beats per minute is definitely not under 120, I'm betting. As most Ramones songs were not under 120 beats per minute, I'm imagining. Joanne Cothrell, also born on this day, of Human League. Don't You Want Me? That's another one of those songs that you don't think about, because it's been, we don't have those bands around, so you don't think about some of those songs, but that's a really good song. Don't You Want Me? Yeah. That's that song. You have to listen to it, though. These are all song suggestions. I'm creating playlists that are way out here somewhere, just out in left field from, music that's older, that you may or may not deal with. Also born on this day. Let's see, why is my phone buzzing? That usually means, nope, nothing. Not a text, but it's something else. I don't know. Born on this day also, Fred Willard, Best in Show. He was from Cleveland, Ohio. I had no idea. Loved Fred Willard. He was always funny. He was on Modern Family. He was on. He was the grandfather. He was always in Best in Show. He did that. What else? Oh, I loved him in Dodgeball. Was that Fred Willard that did? He was the other guy that talked. I loved. No, was that? I think it was. Anyway, Fred Willard. He's gone. We lost him, I guess, a couple of years ago. But yeah, he was just hilarious always. James Gandolfini, born this day. He was from Westwood, New Jersey. That's why he was so good at Sopranos, because he actually was from that part of Jersey. Also gone. And Jason Sudeikis, born this day. Ted Lasso. That was a good series. I liked watching that. Who did we lose today? Well, we lost Rob Tyner from MC5. Remember the song Kick Up the Jams? And then the most significant one we lost today was Mr. James Marshall Jimi Hendrix. Today in history is the day, September 18th, that Jimi Hendrix passed away, they believe, from a barbiturate, not a per se overdose, but he was asphyxiated on his own vomit, unfortunately. In London, he was pronounced DOA when he got to the hospital. James Hendrix. Johnny Allen Hendrix was his birth name. James Marshall Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix died at 27, so he's part of the 27 Club. He's one of the ones that's listed as the 27 Club. I found 2 more. Remember, there was a couple more I found that I was like, they should be in the club. They're 27. They're musicians. So let's see. He top hits was Hey Joe, Purple Haze, The Wind Cries Mary. You got to listen to them. They're really, I mean, if you listen to the originals, they're so good. They're so good. To think about those came out, back in the 60s. He performed at the Monterey Pop Fest in 1967. That's where really his fame kicked off, in the Monterey Pop Fest in 67. He then went and performed at Electric Ladyland in 1968, which is his recordings for that. And then, of course, that was his only number one album, was Electric Ladyland. And then he did the Woodstock in 1969, the Isle of Wight Festival in 1970. He was the first to use fuzz distortion as well as the wah-wah pedal. And he was also the first to use stereophonic phasing in his recordings. He was in the Army for 1 year. Basically, he got an honorable discharge because they basically said he was a paratrooper. They said he was not very good at it and he wasn't really into it. So they eventually just kicked him out. They honorably discharged him and let him go. He had a pretty rocky career. I guess he grew up very, very poor, carried around a broomstick as a kid for a while, and they tried to get him guitar. Did not get it. His first instrument was a one-string ukulele that he found while cleaning out a house with his dad. And he learned to play Peter Gunn on it. That's what his first sort of foray into playing with a string instrument was, on a ukulele with one string. He was playing at the age of 15, and he died at the age of 27. So on this day, we lost Jimi Hendrix. That's this. Hi there, Pamela Maltese. Sorry if I butcher your name. I butcher everything, so you wouldn't be the first one. Pamela Maltese. Hi there. So there you go. So that is rock history for the day of what happened on this day, and births and deaths. Now, so I don't have my playlist, but I do have the pictures, so I can walk through some interesting pictures from the See Here Now Festival. All right, I'm going to start with, I'll go through them relatively quickly, and I'll kind of narrate and jump back and forth a little bit. So this was funny. So to me, I found this to be amusing. So my first day started having to go down to the festival from my mom's house. I tried to take the train. And so this guy is watching the movie Airplane on a train. So I sat there and watched it for a couple of minutes. It was just kind of funny to watch the movie Airplane while on the train. I just found it to be sort of ironic and weird. But it was just kind of amusing. So I just sat there and watched this like 70s movie, or I think it was from the 70s, Airplane, or maybe 80s, while taking the train down there. This was the entranceway, See Here and Now Festival. It was very well organized. It's literally right on the beach, and I'll show you the picture of that next. This was an overview picture. This is not my picture. So if I'm going to get yelled at by somebody for copyright, this will be the one I get yelled at for. But you can see the way it was set up is this was the main stage. This was the surf stage. So you can see it's right on the beach. The ocean waves are just lapping a little bit off to your, on stage left a little bit. The VIP is that big white tented area, and that black sort of line is where the VIP is on that back side. If you look at, and you sort of just look at the picture for a second, where I stood for most of this, hey Todd, where I stood for most of the show was up where you can see sort of that center screen, the two black speaker stacks. The center screen was a little bit further forward. That was also where the soundboard was. And then I was off the stage left, so really close to the water side. So it's a really good sight line there. And that's where I watched most of the shows on that stage. Just because it sounds good at the soundboard, you weren't getting the effect of the sort of that oscillation when the wind would blow. The sound would kind of come and go, and because you'd be really far away and then we'd be really close because the wind was kind of blowing across the ocean. And then that's, was really nice because, again, watching the band like UB40 on the beach, that was amazing. They were the perfect band to have perform because, again, UB40 was reggae on a beach, so you had to love that. And they had some really cool graphics, see here and now graphics there. Now the pictures are not in a particular order because I didn't organize them very well. Sorry, and I didn't take a ton of pictures because again, I'm watching the music. I'm more engaged in watching the music than having conversation with people. Sometimes people go to shows and they just sit there and talk to somebody next to them the whole time. I'm kind of one of those people that doesn't do that. I'm usually like, just shut the fuck up. All right, I'm watching a damn show. Why did we spend all this money and why do we drive 8 hours to watch bands if we're just going to yap? So that's my friend that I went with. He's kind of the same way. We don't yap a lot during the show. Light conversation a little bit, but we're more watching and interested in the show. So this was ZZ Top during the day. So you can see where I was talking about. This is where I'm standing is you can kind of see the soundboards just to the left in the picture. So you can kind of see that. Just a little bit closer shot. I think my friend took this shot. I didn't take this one, I don't believe. Because that's a good picture. Mine, I think my lens was dirty or I don't know. I was not paying much attention. But ZZ Top had the set list. I don't have it for you now. But it was great. This was, don't know, maybe. Can't tell at the moment. Sorry. Oh, Hozier. There's Hozier on the surf stage. As I said, Hozier was great. He's in the top of his game right now, top of his form. It was sort of that blues. This was the Saturday night sort of blues, gospel-y evening. Sounded really good. This was daytime. This is Sunday. So this is sort of looking back on the crowd. Sort of from the side. I think this was kind of a panoramic view. So you can see the stage is off to the right. And you can kind of see the speaker stacks and the ocean back to your left. So this is a bit of a panoramic view. I think they sell about 40,000 tickets. I didn't get a full count if it's 40 or 50. But it's a good-sized festival. Don't get me wrong. This is definitely a good-sized festival. It definitely has grown from what I was told over the years and gotten much, much, much bigger. I would go back. It was definitely one that was worth going to. Good sight lines. You walk the boardwalk. There's not only the tent city for your food and beverages, there's also the actual boardwalk arcade, so you can go get some food that's inside there. So we got the coffee from inside the place, the best chocolate chip cookies ever. So that was fun. Little Lenny Kravitz action. Lenny put on a great show as always, late at night. On the beach, Lenny. This is when everyone was holding up their phones to light the night up. It's a little washed out, but you can see they're set way far back. This might have been Blink 182 at this point. Then that's Blink 182. I think, yeah, that would be Blink toward the end of the show. And then Lenny during the day, I guess, sure, why not? Oh, and then we thought this was hilarious. She had an actual roll of toilet paper, like stolen toilet paper from, the kind that you would see in like a gas station bathroom, industrial sized roll of toilet paper in her backpack, which I thought was pretty funny. So, and the official poster for See Here Now. So it was a good festival. I know that Bourbon and Beyond is just happening right now, and there's a couple others coming up. But, the festival, the Associated Fairs in Akron tonight, big fun, but not quite the size of your show. Oh, yeah, State Fairs is good, too. Shirley, you jest. I won't call you Shirley. It was a good festival. I would definitely go back. Sort of knowing what I know now about the festival. Because you never really know until you sort of go and have the lay of the land. So it was 3 stages. There was a sort of opposite side stage. You had the surf stage, was sort of the main stage, and it's a big ass stage. Don't get me wrong. It's a huge stage, and that basically I would say that was the northern end of the north end of the beach, and. Then there was a park stage, which is also a really large stage. That one you had to go walk, and that was set back in a nice grassy park. So there was a big grass area. You had a street in the middle, another big grass area where the stage was. And that was the secondary stage. And then there was the third stage, which was opposite the surf stage on the south end that backed right up against the old arcade and the convention center. the old convention center for Asbury Park. So it was well organized. It was good sized, to say the least. Plenty of concessions. The line was not bad for bathrooms or concessions, which is always good. So you didn't have a lot of waiting. So they definitely had that one well dialed in. I've been to Lollapalooza where it can be a bit of a nightmare to get food and drinks sometimes. The lines can be long, but there was no big long lines for this. They had a plentiful amount of beer stands, plentiful amount of cocktails, and the food area, which I didn't really make a whole lot of food areas because I didn't really eat much. I don't think actually on Saturday I ate literally a bite of a cookie and like 3 cups of coffee and a bunch of water, and that was it. Just was, bopping around and not really eating, just having fun doing the show stuff. I ran into people, which is really funny, that I ran to like 5 people that I did not expect to run into. One I did. I knew that he would be there. But like 4 of the people that just completely random. Some from New Jersey that it's been years that I've seen them. And the other was all from Ohio, who were there for whatever reason. They live in New Jersey now, and I met them there, which, who knew? Started in Ohio, moved to Jersey. That happens, right? Or vice versa. Go from New Jersey and live in Ohio. So I don't have the screen to put up to show you for the Heinz Verified because it's not on this slideshow. So you're not going to see it tonight. Sorry. I know you're so upset that I won't talk about Heinz and saying go to the damn thing and watch it and comment. Comment on Heinz because that way, I don't know, I'll get another series picked up. Probably not. I don't know if that will get picked up. But you never know. We've talked about a thing called Deadbeat. Or the same thing, and that was something that was based on the radio station Zombies, because everyone loves zombies. It was the zombie radio station, and now the station's gone. Hey, zombies popular. So we'll see. Maybe I'll become a zombie. I feel like the living dead half the time anyway. So hilarious. I know. What else was I going to say? There was something I was going to say that I'm totally spacing on now, related to music. I don't know what it is. Oh, nope, that wasn't it. Sorry, lost it. I'll try my best. Well, that's it. Unless you have any questions, comments, concerns. I saw Todd stopped in. Hello, Pamela Maltese. Don, the idea guy. It should be a WKRP day. I agree. Today is WKRP day. It truly is. If you didn't see, look, I brought the Yellow Submarine home. It made it. It's now living on the Death Star. Where else would it live, right? I mean, it should live on the Death Star. It's the Blue Meanies, and they're the good guys. Anyway, on that note, I'm going to depart and get ready for another fabulous day tomorrow of this, and we will do this all again, but completely different, because it's Friday. And I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do for Friday, but I'm going to do something different tomorrow. I just have the need to do something different tomorrow than just this. I already changed that. Remember, there's no more National Day. I got rid of a lot of stuff, so I'm not telling you who was born in 1687, unless they're from some relatively proximal place or they have some special meaning like, it's Mozart or something, because who doesn't love Mozart? You got to love Mozart. Just saying. But yeah, I don't know. I'm going to change something up for tomorrow. I just feel like I need a bit of a change for tomorrow. That's all. Besides that, it's wonderful for you to be here. Appreciate it greatly. I got a like. Awesome. Woo, thank you for liking. And yeah, that's what's going on. So, subscribe to this. Because at some point I have to do something with it. Right? I have to get merchandise and get a store going and something. I just don't have the time. I'm trying to work too much. Gotta say. All right. Appreciate you. Thank you for being here. We will do this all again, but different tomorrow because it will be episode 111. 111. Yes, it'll be triple ones as opposed to 110. And that'll be the 19th of September. And God knows who lived or died or what happened on this date. Can't tell you. But I will tomorrow, because then I'll know, because I'll look. All right, thank you. Have a great evening. Catch you all again tomorrow. Fade to black.